So my name is Dr. Jim Lanny, and we're here to talk about intellectus and how intellectus statistics, including discussion, can help you with your research. So I'll go through some slides, but really I'd like to kind of open it up to you all and see what your particular questions or concerns are, okay? All righty, so let's move along here. So I have to understand the basics, whether we're talking about data plans or we're talking about analyses. We have to understand these IVs, DVs, and levels of measurement. The Melissa had put at the top of the hour at 12:57 how to create that account. We'll talk about data setup and analysis, and then how to move things through the results and discussion. Okay. All right. So first things first, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but the kind of musts. You must know these things. Quantitative data comes in three species. Nominal, that's name only in Latin. And it's just the, labels, male, female, Republican, Democrat, independent, blue block, red block, green block, no orders. And it has the Venn diagram kind of symbol. And you'll see that symbol when you're putting in analyses. So that's a good symbol to keep in mind for nominal. Ordinal is named and it has an order. Small 8-ounce drink, 12-ounce drink, 64-ounce drink. So it has names, small, medium, or small, regular, extra large, but it also has that order to it, okay? And it has the kind of bar graph as a symbol. Then you have scale, and it's also called other things, like for our purposes, ratio or interval or continuous level, or things of that sort. Basically, there's no differentiation with respect to the kinds of tests or how we treat it. So we just kind of bucketed it into that scale label. And it has both labels, 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degrees. It has an order, okay? 1 before 2, 2 before 3, and it's equally spaced, okay? So keep that going. Now, you could have, you could have a scale variable, not to complicate it, but you could have a scale variable like ruler, okay, 12 inches, and then, make it, lower third, middle third, higher third, or something of that sort. You could also make it nominal, under 6 inches, 7 or more inches. So you can change things around a bit, but sometimes things are purely nominal or purely ordinal and so forth. IVs and DVs, I mean, the thing here is basically the IV is things that the researcher really kind of manipulates, and the DV is the outcome variable dependent upon the participant. So what that means is if I want to look at, race time by gender, I'm saying I want to look at it by gender, could look at it by age or other things that the researcher selects. And then the outcome variable or the dependent variable is typically what the participants are. That's what's being measured, okay? All right. There's also covariates, but I won't get into that right now, right? Things that we want to control for. But most things are independent and dependent variable. That's going to move you along quite a bit. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get logged in. All right, get logged in via that link, or you can copy it from Melissa's chat message. By the way, Melissa, they can chat or ask in the Q&A how they communicate with us.
Yep, both of those are open.
Any questions at any time, just bring it on in. Welcome, welcome. All righty. So Let me just make a few comments about common challenges. I think as Sharon has said, figuring out what test to use is very challenging. Typically, we talk about what tests do, but not how to select the test. So let's talk about that for a second. How to conduct the test. Intellective statistics really streamlines that process by doing things like associating assumptions with each test, by putting things in APA format, by articulating what the results mean in plain English prose. So putting references in there. So it does all of those things, which you'll see in just a moment. We'll load up data. We should talk about the data cleaning wizard. That's true too. Let's take a second there. So typically, data comes in, not always, but often like this, okay, where you have, a question number. Make this a little bigger. It may have the question as another row. You may have the levels of these things as another row, particularly in Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey. And we want to clean this up. So we want to change these labels to numbers. We may want to edit the titles. And then we may want to do some quick bucketing of an open-ended question. And I'll show that. So we need to transform that data. Just so you know, if you're spending 90% of your time doing data cleaning, you're doing the right thing. It does take time to do this, so for whatever that's worth. All righty. What else do we have going on here? That we don't need. Okay. And then we'll show the discussion draft. It was kind of a throw-in, frankly, but it turned out to be something very useful, which is, hey, gosh, now that we have these analyses, how do we summarize these analyses? And let's get some thoughts on the practical and theoretical implications of our findings, future research, given our variables, and conclusions and things and limitations. So we will talk about that. Okay, so let's get to it. So let me refresh this. I'm happy to work with people's data too. If you have it here, I'm happy to, if you send it along, happy to get that going. And maybe we have one right here or a few of them. Let me just do some basic things though. Let me just do the data cleaning wizard. As I say, getting the data prepared is 90% of the job or 95% of the job. So it's worth taking a moment to do that. So let's do that. So if I upload data and go to the wizard, okay. So I'm going to be using that same data set I just showed you. And once you upload data, it throws you into the data cleaning wizard. If you don't want the wizard, just exit on out of here, okay? So first things are, all we need is the variable names and the data. We don't need these additional rows. So this first part gives you the ability to delete that row or rows, okay? So I'm going to delete that. I just highlighted it, okay? Apply changes. Let's move along. Okay, so multiple headers are handled. Next, sometimes the name, you don't want the whole question name in there. It's tougher to see. Most of the times we have whatever, knowledge scores or some survey. Let's just get the question numbers in there. It's the opportunity to change those question names or variable names rather. Apply changes. Next, sometimes there's misspellings. More often than not. Here I just made up a mock, disagree with 2 E's and 3 E's, but if you could have male with a capital M and a small m, you want to clean it all up now, because when we do descriptives, which we must do all the time, we want to clean it up now. So by endorsing that, we're looking at the before and after, okay, apply changes. The other very typical thing is Likert type items. So really, I have a 5-point agreement scale here. Melissa is a good AI to detect that, by the way. Uh, I currently have these 5 levels. I want to turn them into numbers. And so I'm going to endorse these questions, have these labels that I need in these numbers. I'm going to apply changes, go to next. So add a subscale. So oftentimes we have an average score or a sum score. So we could just, say pretest, for example. We can choose to sum or average them here. Okay. All right. And these are the individual items that I want to put into my sum. If an item is asked in reverse, you want to endorse the reverse item and then put in the min and max there. That is to say, you want high numbers to mean all the same thing for all the questions. Okay. And if somebody has a question about that, I'm happy to answer that. So name the subscale, endorse sum or average, identify the questions in that sum and any reversed items with that range. And this is all being recorded, so my fast speaking you can slow it down and do that yourself and look at it. It's okay to have an ID variable. And then we're kind of done here. We have our questions are turned into numbers. Those numbers are then summed over here. And the other thing is that oftentimes there's a open-ended question. It's not really a qual study or mixed method study, but I do have an open-ended. I can just bucket those under my text classification. And here I have items around transformational leadership, open-ended, and but I want to put those in buckets. Like, what are the main categories here, or the I won't say themes, but I'll call them buckets or categories. And you can see that using that text classification functionality that I have bucketed these things into empathic communication and servant leadership and so forth. The win here is that not only do you have buckets of the open-ended, but now I can interact with that to say, hey, gosh, are there differences on this pretest? Okay, by my buckets of qualitative. So you have some integrative opportunities here. Okay. Data cleaning wizard. Again, you don't have to use it. All of that functionality is sitting here, like variable calculator. Okay. And I can do a quick sum or mean. I can recode variables. Recode multiples is a useful function where I can, if I had my levels of measurement, I could have gone into many of these things at once and then change those from, strongly disagree to 1 and just literally put those numbers in there. Okay. So recode multiples, your friend. By the way, there's a video tutorial there. Variable calculator is your friend. There's a video tutorial there. And then one thing that, during the development of this thing a decade ago or 12 years ago, you want to download your managed data. It's in Intellectus and it's being backed up by Amazon servers, but hey, gosh, I just made some new variables here, okay? And I want to have that data set on my desktop. Want to share with other folks, but I'm kind of old school. Like, I think I used to sleep with my data under my pillow, like, God help me if my computer crashes. But it's saved here, but I like to have it as well. So that's getting data in, getting data clean. That's a start. Sharon mentioned folks struggle with, what is the analysis I'm doing or should be doing. So really, you can go to the decision tree there. And here we have some kind of simple, kind of user-friendly, hey, I want to predict an outcome. That's scale. Now that we know what scale is, I'm doing a linear regression, and then I can jump right to it. Linear regression, and then put in my IVs and DVs. Okay. So you can play around with that. You can't break that. Okay. And I think I want to just jump into, I think I just want to jump into folks' projects. And Melissa, can we unmute?
Yep. If you shared your project, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you. All right.
Maybe we'll start
There.
here. WBOC.
All right.
That's
Is
me.
that anyone? Okay, hi, me.
Hi, I'm Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea. Jim, nice to meet you.
You as well.
All right, Chelsea, let's get to it. So let's see what we have here.
I did not change any of the stuff. I just literally popped it in there.
That's fine. Okay, so we have some data here. We want to clean, right? First things first. So here, age, whole numbers, again, this is mostly we have a lot of people on the call now. Probably just want to change this to age. That's one piece of it. And I want to change it from nominal to scale because it's a number. My guess is well, we're going to find out in a second. So if I change it to scale, so there was that extra level in there. So we want to just delete that sucker. Okay, delete that. All right, and now I have numbers in there. And this will make a brand new variable, append new variable. We don't really need that. Just replace the variable. And now we have a cleaned up age variable. Nice, concise name and the right level of measurement. Identity, these things you may just want, again, there may be too many of these things, okay? You may want to do white, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, and then, mix or something of that sort. Or delete identity. Maybe I think maybe just dump that. Is that okay? You can stay unmuted.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah. All right. So just delete that. And then you can figure out how to, so let's just talk about a merge. Okay, so, Hispanic, Black. So here, maybe I would just do mixed, okay? Or other, okay?
Okay.
So, okay, so you would endorse those, okay? And then go to merge and just say mixed or multi. Okay. All right. In 200 years, everyone's going to be multi-ethnic, right? Right. All right. So, and then, do Hispanic here, Hispanic here. Well, this is mixed. Hang on. So Hispanic and white. So the multi-ethnic. Okay, you get the idea here. So we're gonna merge these multi-ethnic. All right. See. All right. So all right. That's something. Okay. And then healthcare. Blah blah blah. So let's just keep going. So, you want to change these, okay? So I won't mess around with this too much here, but keep it to years and then keep it to scale. So let's get to your study aim or research question here. So we have pre-confidence total, post-confidence total, brief. Okay, so cool. So one of your questions is probably, is there a difference from pre to post confidence?
Yes, comparing between the VR group versus short answer.
Okay. Okay, so VR group versus right over here. So let's just
Like
look.
within and between, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so let's get rid of this guy. So, so there are 3 ways to do this. Okay, first of all, let's get this to scale. Delete. So make that scale, hopefully, make this scale. So sometimes there's totals in there. So, right. So if you have that bottom row of totals from Excel, everything,
Yeah.
anything alphanumeric is going to come in as nominal. So you just want to clean it up by deleting, replacing. Okay. So, so we have type. So we have type and we have pre and post. So here, I mean, you can't, so there's 3 ways of slicing this apple. One way is, and I'll show you all 3. So, and then look to see if there are differences. Okay, so between these 3 modes. Okay, so one mode is straight up. Hey, you know what? I'm doing ANOVA. It's a mixed model ANOVA because I have both a within, okay, pre to post, and I have a between, which is type. Okay, so that's one mode of doing this. And it's a fine mode, okay? And talk about assumptions, and you can kind of see, hey, there overall, is there a difference by type? Nope. Is there a difference from pre to post? Yep. And is there an interaction? Yep. That's the key with these things. So with these guys, the interaction is the key part. So plots are enormously helpful with this mode. And in those plots, the profile plot in particular, where I'm really looking at pre and post by type, type. So this is just a really cool plot because you can kind of see what's happening. Ah, okay, here's where my VR versus short answer is. Okay, and this is how they are literally interacting. Okay. Okay. These guys, VR is starting at lower confidence, but at post, they have higher confidence. Okay. When you do this, we'll have some t-tests, but you want to do 4 t-tests here.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do a t-test here. Is there an independent sample t-test on pre-confidence by group? Is there a difference there? You hope not. Is there a difference here at post-test? You hope there is. And then for each one of these things, I want to do a paired sample t-test. Okay. So those are the 4 drill downs. Okay. So, okay, that's something. 2 other modes of doing this. One is to, under data management, you can go to the variable calculator and I can have, you know, confidence diff, DIFF, and really just subtract out my post minus my pre. So now I have a different score, okay? So everyone has a change score. And now I can just do a simple t-test, okay? Is there differences on that change? How do people differ, okay? An independent t-test on my difference score by my group. That's the second way of doing it. And there's assumptions. And here we say, hey, gosh, these guys changed. They had a +7. These guys had a +3. Okay, and that was the difference. Mode 2. Mode 3 is, hey, you know what? I really want to do an ANCOVA, which is really looking at my post-test confidence, and I'll regroup for everybody. By my group, okay, which is pre-test, okay, and I want to control for my pre-test. Where is my pre? My confidence pre here. So I'm saying, let me neutralize the effect of my pretest, assuming that they all had similar tests, okay? And the differences on that post test at post confidence by my group. And here there's assumptions. And here we can say, hey, gosh, there are differences on post-test confidence by type. Okay. All right. So that would be another way of doing it. Okay. Now, a good question is, well, two questions at least. One is, which one of those should I use? A, okay. And B, is it make a darn bit of difference? Okay. I think your strategy here of the mix is probably fine, okay? Which is to look at these things. I would probably, if these were different at pretest, hey, you know what? I wanted these guys to be the same at pretest. I didn't get to choose that. And maybe use a ANCOVA if those were different, okay? Does neutralize the effect of that.
Mhm.
Also, the change score is totally fine too, and it's simple. So this is cool, fine. Do those 4 t-tests, okay? And here you can see some of these t-tests, which is for the short answers where the difference is pre to post. Yep. For the VR group where the difference is pre to post. Yep. So I would look at all of those, okay, and kind of make some decision. There's also this kind of simplicity of, which I like, is let me just see the gains, okay, on confidence by group. Okay, no matter who you are, right? The VR group has got significant confidence gains relative to the short answer group. That's pretty cool too. So, and it's simple. It's one test, okay, and easy to see. Okay, these are the confidence difference. So, I hope I confused you sufficiently where you're thinking about what is the right test. Okay, um, and to compare those. Okay, and what is each one of those telling me? And we can do a discussion draft and we'll get that going here. By the way, is there is this confidence, is that on a reliable, validated instrument?
It is, yes.
Why don't you go ahead and throw the name of that scale into the chat, please?
Sure, I can grab that.
So the discussion draft is, and really we're kind of confining it here, okay? And I'll just wait for you to throw that in there. And then we'll put this into these guys here, okay? Okay, difference in confidence scores. So when folks are doing the discussion draft, you'll want to, when you have validated instruments, you want to put those in there, okay? Because it's going to go out to the literature and say, hey, you know what? What do I know about this confidence scale? What do I know about differences, particularly with pre-work type? All right. Did you put that into the Q&A or into the chat, Chelsea?
I'm putting it right now. Sorry, I had to dig it up.
No, that's fine. Am I mispronouncing your name? Is it Chelsea? Sorry.
It's Chelsea. No, you're
Chelsea,
good.
okay. All right. Got it. Perfect. And I would also, just for folks, confidence scale, via this, and then put this in here, total confidence scores, and it will pick this up. It's not going to hurt to throw in the author's name and year, because sometimes there's different versions of it. There's short versions and long versions, blah, blah, blah. So once you put that in, CHELSEA, okay. I'm not spelling this correctly. Okay, there. Research questions. And I'm just gonna say, okay, take your question. Are there differences? Confidence, confidence by group and time, let's just say. So once you have put in your name, put in the research question, it's pretty smart, the AI piece of it. Put in the instrument name in there. You have to endorse, hey gosh, inaccuracies can happen. These are just draft suggestions, but let me tell you, this is a 15-hour time saver, okay?
Mhm.
Because you have the scaffolding of a discussion chapter and it takes a minute. So let me see if you have any quick questions though before and you can exit out of here too, by the way. Did you have any other quick questions about this data aside from what we just did?
Um, Not that part. My only thing is like the next part. There's I have a comparing it to like an overall simulation effectiveness tool, but what I did is I also broke it down by the three subscales because one of the subscales is specifically looking at pre-work or pre-briefing, which is what was the variable, right? The pre-work type. So I broke it down by total and then by each subscale. So I wanted to look at specifically the pre-briefing subscale and then the overall total score for the overall simulation effectiveness. Does that make
Uh,
sense?
yeah, all by the type or just for one type?
For I guess specifically probably the VR. That's because that's what I
Okay.
was most interested in. Yeah.
So let me just give you that quick. So let's just say whatever each of the subscales are, or each of the individual scales, you can just do a simple, let's just say pair t-test.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Post minus pre. Okay. By the way, notice the scale icon up there. All right. So, but here's the trick. The trick is that you can filter and you can select the type and say, oh, I just want the VR group. Okay.
Got it.
All right. So that's something you can do. The other thing, if you're going down the path of I want to drill into these, I want to drill into these, and it's sitting here. So you can see just for the VR group. The other kind of trick is once you're drilling into these t-tests, you're doing a one between, one within.
Mhm.
You can also do these things. It may not do it for me, so I'll just do it this way. So you can also, I want to look at confidence pre compared to confidence post. Okay, but I can also not filter. I only want the VR group. I can split file by that. And what the split file functionality does is it's going to do that pair t-test for each level. So it's going to, for the pre-work for the VR group, it's going to do the paired t-test pre to post confidence. And then it's going to go for the pre-work type short answer group, do that confidence pre to post. So, okay. And that will probably cover more than you wanted to know.
No, thank you.
All right. The other thing we should talk about is these things. Why is this Wilcoxon here? Okay. Well, so our tool, Intellect, is once you do this paired t-test here, there's assumptions, okay? Basically, the difference score between that post and pre-confidence, okay? That difference score, as a group, there's an average difference score, okay? And most people are going to be around that average, but then there's some people that a little bit lower, a little bit higher than the average, and some people really lower than that difference average, and some people really higher. And that should look like a normal bell curve. It does not. Okay. That was significant, indicating that assumption is not met. So if this was going into a journal, I'd
Mhm.
say, you probably got to look at the Wilcoxon because that assumption was violated.
Mm.
For DMPs, for dissertations, what I do is I look between the t-test, differences for my short answer group. Differences from pre to post confidence, they changed, okay? But I had the violation. But then I have the Wilcoxon, what's happening here? Also differences, okay? It's also looking at pre and post, but without the assumption. It's also significant. When they match, when that t-test with a violation, the p-value is significant from pre to post confidence, and the Wilcoxon match, what I recommend doing is cite the violation and present the t-test, and don't mess with the Wilcoxon, okay?
Okay.
If they were different in any way, shape, or form, the t-test was significant, this is not, or vice versa, then I would err to the to the non-parametric as the truth, so to speak. All right. Discussion draft, let's see what happened, because we had lots of stuff in there. So with all these discussions, again, folks, doesn't cost you a penny. More, I should say. There's an introduction, the interpretation of the findings, that while both preparatory methods differed in confidence level, larger gains in the VR produced substantially larger gains in the short answer. The mixed model ANOVA, and I think that's where we were seeing in those differences from 7 to 3, okay? But you can check this out. It's getting into t-tests, but importantly, it's going to help summarize all of those, and that might help elucidate, hey, which path do I want to go down? Two-way is fine. It's touching into literature. It's talking about the theoretical implications of your findings compared to the literature and practical implications of your findings relative. Okay, limitations of the study, future research, and this all gets a conclusion and references. Obviously, this is all AI driven. You got to vet every sentence. You got to vet every reference. Okay. And downloads into an editable Word document. So you had a very basic question. I presented a couple of other ways of looking at it. I've showed you how to present it once you get to that t-test level. And then the discussion draft of, hey, you know what, how do I contextualize all of this? So, again, if you want to do the mixed model is fine. There is simplicity in looking at the different scores or change scores by thing, and let's move along with our day. We're not doing, essentially that mixed model has 3 results, differences by group, differences by time, interaction. The plot is useful. And then you're doing 4 t-tests, you have 7 things. The 1 t-test on a change score, we kind of have some things there. So, and then times however many different subscales you have and so forth. So choose your poison, but you have some options now.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep, you're welcome. That was fun. All right. So let's go to Emma. How you doing, Emma?
Hi,
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. All right, where are we here? I just saw you here, Emma. So paired t-test. This is common. All right, so here, so good. So you're gonna want to get rid of this, okay?
Okay.
So
Well, I have a question about
hold
that
on.
though, because I ran 2 paired t-tests. I will tell you, I'm presenting my final project in 11 days. So hoping for not anything drastically changing. But I did run a paired t-test on the question summary, which is why I kept that in there. Like pre-question total and post-question total. Not aggressively.
I don't think you did. I think you did, but I don't think you did.
Okay. Okay.
So you said basically what you're telling me is you ran it between the 67 and the 72.
Mm,
Oh wait, I see what you're doing. I say, between these summaries here and these summaries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but my problem is still there.
Okay, sure.
That's not a
You're
person.
okay. You're the expert, definitely not me.
Well, but that's not a person, correct?
Sure. There are only 8.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay,
Yeah.
so right. So got a couple things going on here.
Okay.
So one is for sure the summaries. We want to compare basically those folks to those folks. Okay.
Correct.
All right. This is not a person here.
Correct.
Okay. So yeah, got dump them.
Okay.
So edit data. All right. And then get rid of these guys here.
Okay.
Hit delete. Okay. Save.
Sorry. If you edit it here, does this edit it in my document or?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep. And then when you go back to the analysis,
Mm-hmm.
you can go to the pair t-test.
Mm-hmm.
This, by the way, you want to keep nice short names.
Yes, I do.
Yucky. Okay, so here, so to go back, listen, I have little control over the world, but trying to keep clean data sets is one of those things that
Go have at it. Have at it.
I've had. Okay, so well, I'm not going to mess too much with it, but just to say, when I go into this pair t-test, I can go to edit, and I have instructor pre to post. You're filtering over here. Is that what you want to do?
Hmm,
Why are you filtering?
I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
see what you're saying, because you only wanted those 8 folks. Okay,
Yes.
so you did the right thing there. So you did a workaround. Okay.
I'll be really honest. My husband helped me with this because I am so poor at this. He
Hey,
helped
guess what? 2 points to your husband. Okay. Because basically we're saying this filter, we included only those 8 instructors,
Okay.
not those other 2 rows. Okay.
Okay.
So that was very smart. So I'm not going to touch that.
Okay.
Um, and then here, question 1 to well here, question pre to post. Well, you didn't do the filtering there.
Shoot.
Okay, that's fine. So we just redo it. We just edit it, edit
Okay.
that analysis. No, you guys did great.
Okay.
You guys did great. There was a difference in question pre. It went from 60 to 66. That was
Hmm.
a reliable difference. Hunky dory. You're cool.
Okay. So I did it twice I did one between instructor total pre and post, and then I did like question total pre and post. And so the question that I had was the first one, it said like normality was not violated. And then the second pair t-test I did on the question totals, it said that normality was violated. And then it also said something about it not being statistically significant. And then it said normality was violated. It did the Wilcoxon. And then it
And was that
also,
significant?
sorry,
And was that significant? And that
it
was
was
significant.
the Wilcoxon said it was significant, but I was just confused because in the second pair t-test, it said something was not statistically significant. And then it followed up and said something was statistically significant and gave me a lower p-value. So I don't know if
Well,
I don't know.
so we're talking about this pair t-test and this Wilcoxon, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here, this is the same exact thing I just said 10 minutes ago, which
Mm-hmm.
was when you have a violation
Mm-hmm.
and the t-test is significant, and you have the Wilcoxon, which
Mm-hmm.
is also significant,
Right.
my suggestion is report the violation, report the t-test.
Okay. I think they want us to mention the Wilcoxon if the normality is violated, but do you see it in here that
It's
it
right
said
here.
something was non-significant?
No, this is significant. They're both significant here.
Okay, so I don't know if it was because maybe some of it pulled in those 2 lines that were not really data in the second time we ran it. I don't know. Something in
Well,
mine though said not significant when I ran it initially.
okay, not in this data that I'm looking at with my 2 eyes.
Okay, wonderful. Then perhaps you
This
pulling them.
this t was this t-test significant? No,
So the
they're all significant. That t-test is significant. This is the non-significant.
right, what is
That's
that?
under the assumption.
What
You
does that
want
mean though?
so what that means is what I said was that with the post-test minus the pre-test has a different score. As a group, there's an average different score. And those different scores, some people are going to be right around the mean and some people on the tails, that those different scores should look like a bell curve.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that assumption is looking at. And in your
It's
particular first pair t-test, that assumption is met.
right,
So that's good.
right.
So assumption is non-significant. The assumption is met, hunky-dory, let's move along with our lives. Then the result is difference. There is significant difference. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that mean is higher than that mean. When it comes to the second pair t-test,
Mm-hmm.
assumption is violated, t-test is significant.
So
And
the assumption being violated, but does it then there say that something is not significant?
no, the only
Okay.
thing that was not significant was this.
And that is because something in my data.
No, that's good. Was saying that the different scores, the change scores, look like a normal bell curve. That's assumption that we want to look like a normal bell curve, and it does.
Okay. I think again I'm very, very novice at this, as you can tell. I guess we're used to hearing like not significant, thinking, oh shoot, like not significant clinical find or statistical findings. So I think I interpreted that wrong.
Just read it.
I did.
We wrote it. We
Right,
we
right.
actually articulate what that is
I know. I
for
read it
those
and
reasons.
I'm sorry.
So not significant, assumption is met.
Hmm.
Significant, um,
Right,
that really, we should really change this a little bit, but the that mean is reliably higher than the mean of pre.
right. Okay.
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 So, and if you want, when you run the discussion draft of that, okay,
Yeah.
it's going to incorporate both that t-test and that Wilcoxon.
Uh-huh.
You know, if your faculty wants you to report both, if that's the case,
Hmm.
honestly, I would not report both of them. Okay.
You would
If
not report both pair t-tests?
Nope, I would not report this t-test and this Wilcoxon looking at the same data. Okay.
Okay.
If in fact your committee or journal for that matter says, okay, that assumption is violated, run the Wilcoxon, just report the Wilcoxon.
Hmm.
I don't think I would be walking people down of saying the assumption is violated. Great. If our choice is to move to Wilcoxon, great. Let's move to Wilcoxon. I'm
Hmm.
not going to go through. What difference does it make? We're saying if the assumption is violated and folks are saying that's enough for me to not trust that result,
Hmm.
then don't report that result that's not trusted. Walk to Wilcoxon. I
Do,
mean,
do you think it's sufficient? So again, I wasn't super duper sure what to run. I don't know. Do you think it's sufficient to just report the first one, the pair t-test comparing instructor pre and instructor post totals?
I don't have that knowledge. You have to figure out if one of these, do these two t-tests differ?
Mm-hmm.
Does instructor knowledge versus question total knowledge, do they
Mm-hmm.
differ? Are these things different these different animals?
Mm-hmm.
And more to the point, hey, is my study aim at both of these things or one of these things? That's the
Right.
question. So I
Okay.
would give them what I told them I was going to give them.
Right. Okay. That
Okay.
answers my question. Yeah.
And then, um, I mean, look, and I'm just sharing with you how I would present it.
I appreciate that.
And if they want something different, give them all of this
Right.
and let them decide.
That's true.
Okay.
Yes.
They're your committee. As I used to say to my advisor, Bill, you're my advisor, advise. To which he used to say as a Rogerian therapist, so you really want me to advise? I said, Bill, I can strangle you. Okay, yes, I want advisement. Okay, so give it to them, let them advise you. Okay,
Fair enough. Yep.
they won't be as mean as Bill. So okay, I hope that was helpful.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, take care, Emma.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, so I just did there. Let's go back here. So, okay, any other let's just go back. That was a quick hour. So let's so we're doing questions. Let me just put out some contact information. Free 15-minute consults to kind of figure out if I can help you or not. It is paid, but if I can help, feel free to scan the QR code. For students, Samantha can get you organized and on my calendar. Her email is there. For any faculty, we can help with lots of things, with trials, free trials, free demonstrations for you or your colleagues. Courseware, we have courses, 80 courses based on Articulate competency-based courses. Ashley can help you with all of that. Melissa can answer any other questions. Schedule me to talk with bunches of students or other kinds of things of that sort. The websites are going to be changing. The Statistics Solutions is just general kind of stats, dissertation, scholarly project stats resources. Most of the websites well, at the moment, these will all be redirected, I presume, to intellectus360.com. And Melissa, maybe put that into the chat. And then the other thing I want to highlight is that we do have most people on this call are working on stats, but just to know that we do have a lit review stat. So for colleagues that are in the beginning phases, we can really help. Intellectus really takes your PDFs, groups them together, decides on which ones group together, synthesizes those, and you'll have a beautiful draft of a lit review, which will save you 100 hours of your life. So just to know that that's out there, and obviously if anyone's on social media or you have different modes of communicating, please do share that with folks that with these AI tools, it really can really expedite the process and streamline some of these more tedious tasks. These results are not AI. Be clear about that. Those are driven by the R programs. So just to know that is exactly what it is. It's not guessing. The discussion is AI, the lit review is AI, and we also have a qualitative tool, which uses AI to help thematize. So if you know folks that are doing mixed methods kinds of things, the Intellectus qualitative can help as well. Okay. Final thoughts, questions, anything burning out there? Burning questions going once?
I don't have anything unanswered on our
Perfect.
side at this point.
Terrific. You're very welcome. Everyone have a nice, safe weekend, and my best to all of you. Yeah. Stay well. All right, Melissa will get that.